He was one of the most famous men who fought in the Civil War. He received multiple wounds during the conflict, one so bad he was given a deathbed promotion to honor him. Yet, he lived, and, when the war was over, he struggled for recognition of his wounds for the rest of his life. Greetings and salutations, my history-loving mischief. Brian Guthrie, aka Guthron the Balding Bard here. Welcome to another short take on history. My new class deals with economic history, and to stay on topic for the dissertation, I am studying Civil War veterans and the struggles for their pensions after the war. So, let's begin. For this week, the assignment tasked us with studying an individual in the post-Bellum era to examine their situation. The post-Bellum era being 1865 to 1900. What a perfect opportunity to study one soldier's experience with their pension after the war. Which soldier? As the introduction stated, someone most students of Civil War history are very familiar with. Joshua Lawrence Chamberlain. Wait, I'm new at this. Who is that? Lieutenant Colonel Chamberlain, born in Maine in 1828, was serving as a professor when the war broke out. Feeling the call of duty that led so many men to death and eternal suffering, he joined the Army as a volunteer, leading the 20th Maine Infantry Regiment under Colonel Adelbert Ames into the war. This unit seemed star-crossed at first, although one could also say they were just lucky. They just missed participating in the Battle of Antietam, aka the bloodiest single day of the war, survived the massacre at Fredericksburg, and missed being routed at Chancellorsville because of smallpox. For men seeking the glory of battle, they probably felt frustrated. Their moment soon came on a wooded hill near a sleepy town in Pennsylvania named Gettysburg, where the bloodiest battle of the Civil War would soon take place. That moment became etched in history, the subject of media attention and historical scrutiny. What happened? Facing heavy assault that threatened to turn the Union lines and create a flank attack for the Confederate Army, the 20th Maine was exhausted and out of ammunition. Still, the attack came, so Chamberlain ordered a bayonet charge that drove off the soldiers from Alabama and saved the Union line. For his efforts, Chamberlain later received the Medal of Honor, but immediately received command of the 5th Corps, a position he held to the end of his war. He fought in other battles, receiving 6 total wounds. At the Siege of Petersburg, freshly back from injury, Chamberlain again faced a wound. This 6th one was believed fatal, and General Ulysses S. Grant ordered a promotion to Brigadier General for Chamberlain as a parting honor to the soldier they expected to bury. True to form, however, Chamberlain defied the odds and survived, playing a role in the surrender at Appomattox several months later. That wound, however, remained with him for many years. It was caused by a mini-ball, an infamous bullet known for the damage it would do upon impact with the body. It struck his bladder and urethra and shattered his hip bones. Infection, the single most effective killer of Civil War soldiers, threatened Chamberlain's life repeatedly in the months before he returned to battle. Complications from his wounds stuck with him after the war, forcing him to seek help. Despite this, he remained a formidable man in the face of pain. He served as governor of Maine, the commander of the Maine militia, and later the president of Bowdoin College. He joined the veterans organization, the Grand Army of the Republic, and even participated in numerous soldier and battle memorial events throughout his life. Still, the struggle remained. He experienced interminable pain as well as incontinence, forcing him to wear an early version of a catheter with a bag to help. This caused damage to his urethra and genitals, as well as threatening him with infections in his internal organs. Multiple times he went under the surgeon's blade to try and fix the problem, but most of these efforts merely made the problem worse. Basically, he suffered a lot. The problem is no one could see his injury, especially considering the injury's location and his living in prudish 19th century New England. Beyond that, when Americans looked at their wounded Civil War veterans, they expected to see a wound, or at least the signs of it. The amputated arm or leg came to be the calling card of the wounded veteran, as it was one of the most prevalent solutions for saving a soldier's life in that war. For veterans after the conflict, the missing appendage turned into a form of social credit they could call upon for help. Not so those who suffered invisible wounds. In fact, some research reveals that of the estimated 300,000 wounded veterans of America's fratricidal conflict, only about 20,000 were amputees. That means the lion's share of the wounded did not carry that most popular calling card of the Civil War veteran, an ironic turn of phrase, all things considered. As time progressed, the bias against the hidden wounds proved more pronounced as these veterans aged and became less able to provide for themselves. The federal government and the state governments of the former Confederate states all ran their own pension systems, and the first mention of old age being an approved reason for a pension did not come until 1894 in the state of Georgia. Fears of malingering, an ever-present complaint among military leaders to this very day, caused many to deny benefits to these veterans like Chamberlain. Facing extremely invasive exams by doctors set on denying benefits, soldiers like Chamberlain faced repeated humiliation as they struggled to make it through each day. For the venerated war hero, his wound proved particularly humiliating as it made the simple act of urinating a torture and denied him the sexual functions so many men saw as critical to their manhood. When Chamberlain finally died, it was from an infection of his wound, making him one of the last, if not the very last, Civil War veteran to die specifically from his physical wounds from that war. He struggled for recognition of his wounds and for help almost the entirety of his time after the war, a struggle that those soldiers with visible wounds did not have to make. This just continues to show the bias that existed in the system against those with invisible wounds, and we aren't even discussing those with mental wounds, such as PTSD or moral injury. To this day, American veterans struggle with wounds many cannot see. While we are better informed on the topic, that does not mean the bias does not remain. If you are a veteran struggling with ear injuries, remember, you are not alone. There is always help for you. Well, that's it for this time. We'll have another one of these in a couple of weeks. Till next time.